Hello and welcome. I am the Suit&Tie Dip&ChewGuy, and this is the number 7 entry on the alternatives playlist. And we will be taking a look at another BACCOFF product. First thing to note right from the gate, this has no nicotine in it. Now, originally, I had planned on doing a What Is It series short format dip review this evening. However, last night late, I started looking at the can that was lined up for that, and I didn't like the date. I wasn't sure about the date. The back of the can had been scuffed, and I couldn't quite tell what the date was, so wasn't going to chance it. So we will be doing another one of these. This one is of interest. I did do one of these this past week. That one was of interest because of the flavor, smooth peach. This one is of interest because unlike the last one, which was a pouched product, this is rough cut. So we will find out what that is about. So this is a sample sachet. Okay, this came down to me from Bergs of Bergs Dip Reviews. So this review is thanks to him. I was a little surprised the last BACCOFF product got a good number of views, higher than my average. So although this was not planned, maybe this is what people are interested in. To me, right off, no nicotine, in a normal... I had said I was never even going to review these because of no nicotine. Just because it's not something there's even a chance of me using. However, Bergs was nice enough to send this. So the rough cut interests me though because this company is all pouched or fine cut, except for this product and one other, which I believe is a wintergreen. So we will see. It's a sachet, as I said. Okay, sample is clearly denoted. Original mint. And underneath that in white on the silver, which you're probably not going to be able to see very well, it does say rough cut. Now, the picture is of how the product is normally packaged when it is not a sample, I suppose. On the back, you have a barcode and then a best if used by date, I believe. I can't see if it's best if used by or... Whatever it is, this is dated for September 16th, 2020. So we're in plenty of time there. And the rest of it is connect with us, and they have their website, which is dipstop.com. That's dipstop.com. Handcrafted, moist snuff alternative. All the taste, feel, and satisfaction. That's sort of questionable with no nicotine, but whatever. Of the real thing, 100% tobacco and nicotine free. Quit tobacco, keep dipping. And then it has the ingredients. Peppermint leaves. Okay, so we're not going with the tea leaves this time. They're going directly with peppermint. Sort of makes sense. Water, glycerin, natural artificial flavors, salt, caramel coloring, potassium sorbate, and that is it. That is. So it's a simple ingredients list. They list ingredients. I had sort of hoped, or I had in my head that this was going to be another black tea leaf product, because the black tea leaves, I don't know if anybody's noticed, with the exception of them usually being in products that are nicotine free, they seem to be the best flavor feel alternative to actual tobacco. For whatever reason, I do not know the answer to this. It seems to me anyway, that only products that have no nicotine in them use black tea leaves. Why that is, I don't know. Does the nicotine added to it break down the leaf in a way that it can't be worked with? I don't know. But I have noticed that black tea leaves are always in alternative products that have no nicotine. Whereas nicotine products usually use corn silk, cabbage, and what else? Other varying thing, mint leaves sometimes. But for whatever reason, black tea leaves are usually nicotine-free products, which I'm curious about because taste-wise and feel touching it and in the mouth, they seem to me to be the closest to actual tobacco leaves alternative there is. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here with this is I'm going to cut the top seam off this. Now, Bergs has already mentioned in another comment section that this is not the easiest thing to go by pinching this out of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the top. And then I am going to cut down the back seam and sort of open it up and hopefully... The company looks like a well thought out, like I was over to the website. By the way, these sample packets, it's 12 of these packets and you pay shipping and handling. I think it's something around like $4.95. Each packet, let's say, is one dip because I don't know what you do with the extra pouch and the pouched ones if you only took 2. So let's say for the sake of saying, so that's 12 dips for about the price of what for most of us is a can of Copenhagen. It's not a bad deal except again for the part where it has no nicotine in it. It would almost make more sense to me if they didn't want to go full nicotine, fine. But if they had like a half nicotine product, like somebody comes off their regular line dip and goes to the half nicotine back off and then to the no, that would make sense to me. But, you know, whatever. Maybe there's regulation the company doesn't want to deal with on that. I do not know. So, let's do the smell test now. Well, it's minty, all right, but it's not just... It looks dippish. It looks like it's a bad cut. I don't know if a rough cut would be. It is sort of chunky. There's no way you're going to be able to see it there. Or not well. It smells like mint, but you know that it's not just been flavored with mint. You're dealing with some sort of mint leaf. It doesn't smell bad, but it does smell like an odd mint. To me. Now, also... I never thought about it. I guess the other companies that use mint leaves, I'm guessing they're using peppermint leaves. That would be what would make sense to me. I don't know how to cut this now. Oh, okay. There's stuff coming out here. Yeah, Bergs, I'm seeing what you're talking about now. That gives you an idea of what you're looking at cut-wise. And I see a mess coming here. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the cut. The stuff is very black. That is what it actually looks like. As you can see, though, the rough cut is not long by any means. It's chunky. So I'm going to try to get in on this, I suppose. I have a feeling I may have to pause this. Yeah, it's not so much the product pinching here. It's the packaging it's in. I completely see what you're talking about now, Boris. Let me throw this in. I'll try to get the rest. You know what? I'm thinking I'm just going to... I'll be back in a moment. And I am back. All right. I mean, it's not terrible. It would be one of the better tasting alternatives out of what I've done thus far, but there's no nicotine in it. I will say there's considerable mouthfeel. If you like the cooling sensation of mint, it definitely has that. In fact, that is why I have moved it around the side. I found it uncomfortable up front. That said, I am now paying the price because of the cut. The cut is, it's not a long cut. It's just sort of chunky bits. Well, you know, when something is sort of cut like snuff, only the pieces are larger, it's still the cut of, you know what I mean? It's migrating all over the place. It's coming over my molars. I can feel it migrating back. Overall, the much better experience with the pouch product. And again, you know, to me, this just doesn't, it just doesn't make sense to me going, very few people are going to be able to successfully quit dipping without some sort of a stage down. Okay? Number of ways to do that. The way you use the dip that you have, using alternative products that have a step down. You're not going to have success in all likelihood. 99 times out of 100, you will not have success if you just go cold turkey and try to go with a no nicotine product. Now, if you were doing something else, let us say you were doing whitetail and you staged down to nothing with them, were fully loaded. Once you get to that no nicotine point, then this stuff tastes better than either of those two. Okay? It also feels better. The pouches were pretty moist and the flavor release on them was good. A lot of it is, and this is why they're marketing this, oral fixation with using the product. But you're never going to get down just to the oral fixation part without some sort of stage down. With dip, there's just too much nicotine in play. I mean, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't even suggest it just because you could start feeling sick and like quasi-withdrawal effects if you just went and stopped. This stuff is migrating all over the place, though. Anyway, personally, for me, I found the from a flavor aspect, I found the smooth peach in pouches a pretty good deal. I did like them. Again, I wish they had nicotine in them, but it was a interesting flavor. It was definitely peach, but it was an interesting flavor, and it was a little bit different from the peach that you're used to with dip. This, it's mint, but it's natural mint. Now, fortunately, it's being marketed as a mint, so they didn't really have to tweak the peppermint leaves too much, unlike some of the early alternatives that I did where they were using mint leaves, but they were trying to make it straight. Minty straights, if that sounds like a good idea to you, trust me, it isn't. So this, the rough cut, yeah, I'm not overly taken with it by any means. It is a lot better tasting than some of the other alternative lines. There's nothing that's making me sick about it, anything like that. It's just, I'm going to have a hard time putting it up against anything because I haven't done any other alternative mints, one. And two, I'm not a big mint guy in general when it comes to dip. Cut, as I said, is... This isn't coming out in one piece. This isn't coming out in 10 pieces. I don't know how this is coming out, but it's not going to be pretty. I can tell you that much. It's all the way down, and it's coming back around my last molar, where my wisdom tooth would have been before it was removed. And then coming up where my tongue meets my jaw, it's getting in there. Yeah, so low marks for the rough cut. I would definitely go with a pouch product from this brand if you were doing that. I can only imagine what their fine cuts are like, but at least there would be less to complain on a fine cut. You'd be sort of expecting it. If you're a mint guy, it has plenty of mouthfeel. It has a lot of mouthfeel. I was a little surprised. But besides that, I'm not taken at all by it. And I'm already thinking, I don't have it here, but I'm already thinking I basically know what the other rough cut is like. I believe it's a wintergreen. So, this has been an alternatives review of BACCOFF Original Mint Rough Cut. No nicotine. Keep that in mind. I am the Suit&Tie Dip&ChewGuy. I do hope you all are well. Do take care of yourselves, and God bless.